Okay, in topic number 7, let's look at another powerful Linux tool. So, let's start with a straightforward and easy example again. We have our directory output, and we filter out from there total, and we send this input to the awk command. And we're going to print the first column, or we can print the 9th column. And you can see how this is the first column, this is the 9th column, or the 8th column. So straight away we can see that awk is very handy if we have some sort of format in columns. Then we can easily grab information out of these columns and put it into a more easy to use format. Remember that we can do things like counting as well, or we can further filter the output and so on. So let's say that we want to prefix the lines with the number of the line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and to prettify we could use a colon in between, or we could even place a new line in between. Etc. It's very easy and straightforward syntax. Okay, so how about if we have the text A equals B equals C equals D, and we know that the equal sign is our separator? Well, here too we can use awk, and we specify that our separator is the equal sign. And we say print the second column according to that particular separator. And indeed, the second column according to that separator is B. So this works fine. Again, we can do the number and a new line. It's very flexible. In this case, notice that it hasn't used the number because accidentally I entered quotes around it, and so it's seen as literal text. Here we go, the first line. We can pipe this through awk again, and this time we're going to use 0, which doesn't mean the 0th column, it just means the whole text of input. So in this case, the first line and the second line. First line 1b, second line empty. It's going to print that. Of course that's going to be exactly the same, but now we're going to prefix this with a number. First line, second line. So again, very powerful as to how we can do things. Let's take another example. AAA. And this time we're going to have a look at some more complex syntax. Awk is like a whole programming language. You can do matches, substring, lengths, all sorts of things. Printf. Let's do a simple match. We look in the whole string and we try and find the text A. If we find the text, in other words, our match doesn't return 0 as output, then we're going to substitute this text A with an underscore. And we're going to do that for the whole string. You can see how powerful this is. And we're going to print that output as a string. And we're going to enter a new line after this. And of course, we're going to output the whole string. Close it. There we go. Okay, so we've looked for A and replaced it by an underscore. Of course, from the previous example, we could have just as well done this and it would have been the same. In any case, it gives a great example as to how powerful this is. We can also simply use 0 here, and it will print it. Another nice example from my colleague Rick. Here he has looked for a particular substring. In a particular string, he's quantified the length for the substring command, matching it with k. If so, then some sum is generated, or rather added up onto by whatever is in column 12 there. If that was not found, then we're looking for m, we do another sum, and so on. And finally we print the result in a nice formatted way, and we're checking this particular log file for all of this. Very nice. So we've seen how we can use the awk command to print columns, to insert line numbers, to insert various other characters as we move along through the output, how we can specify a different separation character, which allows us to be even more specific and granular in what we're doing. We could, for instance, specify that space or tab as a separator. Tab would be very alike to simply using awk directly without the -f qualifier. And finally, we've seen a few of the more advanced commands within awk. It's a whole programming language, and you can find a lot more information about it online. So wherever set doesn't suffice, although set suffices in a whole lot of cases, then maybe you can have a look into awk, or maybe if you just want to qualify some columns, awk is a very handy way of doing that. As long as your original input format never changes, your script will be very stable with awk. Thank you. See you in the next part.